And we're live. Good morning, beautiful souls, and welcome to Ask the Shaman. Welcome, everyone, to the Positive Pineapple Chapel. I'm your host, Anthony Golden Sunshine, your friendly neighborhood shaman at your service. Welcome, everyone. Tuesday, March 5th. It's already like the first week, getting past the first week of March. I just love how fast time's going. But I'm hoping it slows down a little bit for spring and for summer, because those are like some of my favorite seasons now. Probably always have been. But already I can feel the beautiful energy of the earth beginning to rise. I can feel her getting ready to begin to grow. There's already in places little flowers popping up and little patches of green beginning to grow. Soon I'll start popping some seeds from my gardens. I grow some of my own food. I would love to be able to grow all of my own food. I think that would be really cool. I feel like at least growing some of it just feels really good. And it's a really nice connection to nature to get outside and do some gardening, get your hands in the dirt. It's a beautiful thing. And then it's just so rewarding when you eat the food that you've grown and you know that you've grown it organically. You've grown it with love. Mary just loves nature. And so when we plant those gardens, she tends to the gardens very well and puts a lot of love into those gardens. And boy, does it show up in our zucchini and our other delicious foods. Welcome, everyone. The floor is open. Please ask any questions that may be of interest to you. That's what the show is about. Ask the Shaman. It's here for us to share. So just pop in. Let us know what's going on in your world. Perhaps you're looking for an answer for something. These can be spiritual questions, metaphysical questions. We talk about everything here. We talk about life, we talk about death, and everything in between. There's really nothing that's off limits. I only ask that your communications be respectful and loving. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off this morning. I've been called. I want to start off with us just doing kind of a little session, a little prayer session, a little energy session to get the day started. And how I'm going to start that today is I'm going to just take my left hand. I'm going to put it on my belly. I'm going to take my right hand and put it on my heart. And I'm just going to take a moment just to feel my hands on my body. I can feel my left hand. I can feel my belly. Through my poncho, the warmth of my hand, the pressure of my hand. And what I'm doing is I'm making a psychological, mental connection, an energetic connection to my belly, to my hand. And then I'm bringing my attention up to my heart, to my chest, and I'm allowing my right hand to do the same thing, connecting, feeling it on my body. And it's as if my left hand is connected to my belly permanently and my right hand permanently now connected to my heart, like a solid connection. And then I'm going to begin to breathe. And what I do is I make my breath like a wave. I first breathe into my left hand, then my right hand, and then out with a sigh. Two pieces, the belly, the chest, and out with a sigh. The belly, the chest, and out with a sigh. The belly, the chest, and out with a sigh. I'm really expanding my lungs. Belly, lungs go down, up, and then out. So I'm expanding my whole lungs, all the lobes of my lungs. Making the breath bigger as I go. Big as I can. I'm beginning to get tingly, a little lightheaded. And that's good. I try to make it more. Changing my state. 3 more. 2 more. Last one. Big breath in. Taking that big breath. Hold it. Hold. And out with the soft sigh. Bringing my hands in front of me in prayer position. Boy, does that feel good already. Hands in front of me in prayer position. And then what I'm doing is I'm using my intention, my mental intention, my internal intention. I'm going to open up my energy field, my luminous bubble. So as I breathe in, I'm going to take my hands directly over my head, like so. And as I exhale, my hands turn out. And I expand my bubble, my luminous egg, my field of influence. My hands come back right in front of me. They come back here, and I do this 3 times total. Up into my energy and bringing it up from my heart and spreading it all around me. Your electromagnetic field primarily generates from the heart. And then I bring it, I enclose it into myself, down to my tailbone. I turn my hands up again, and from my heart over my head, opening the field. Opening your field. Now your field's open. Now what I do is I take my hands, I leave them open. Sometimes I hold them up like this. I'm going to do that today. And then what I do is I call in spirit. And you can do this any way. You don't have to do it Inca style. Sometimes I pray in Quechua. Sometimes I just say a few words in English. It's not as much about your words as it is your intention. Sending out, embodying the feeling of calling and bringing to you. And I call here all beings of light and energy, all forms of divine wisdom and healing. I call here all of our ancestral energies, all beings of nature, all beings of cosmic light. And what you can do is you can call in whatever feels holy or sacred or beautiful to you. This could be God or Buddha or Jesus or Krishna, whatever you want to call into you, whatever works for you. It's more about the vibration of the divine power than the name or the concept. And as I call that here, I'm calling it to my hands, calling it to my heart. Opening my heart, opening my belly, opening my throat, opening my head, opening my tailbone, and taking in all of the divine energy. Using my mind's eye and disciplined imagination, I can sense, feel, see, understand that there's a flood of beautiful luminous energy coming in. And as that beautiful energy comes in, you can begin to say with your own words some sweet words to your higher divine power. I open my heart, and I am open and ready to receive. Great beings of light, great energies of the cosmos, we ask that you bring your greatest medicine here to us today. To myself, my brothers and sisters, to all beings that are open to receive this wisdom and transmission. Excuse me. This is what I call passive prayer. I'm just calling in God or the Creator, and I'm just allowing myself to be still in this moment. What I do is I bring my attention into my breath. I feel my breath. Feel your breath. Breathe in through your nose and out with a soft hum. Breathe in through your nose and out with a soft hum. Breathe in through your nose and out with a soft hum. Very good. We're now in sacred space. I want to welcome you. So let's see, is any comments No comments. All right. So that's how the show works, is through your comments. So please put up your comment, put up your question, put up something you want to share. So that way we can continue along. I'd love to continue along. If no one caught it yesterday, I had a really nice live stream yesterday afternoon with a guy named Andre Davis. Really nice guy, really gifted being. It was really nice to sit down and have that conversation. So if you haven't get a chance to check that out, check that out. That's on the YouTube. That's there. What else is going on? Oh, I'm super excited. Today is day one. This is the first day of shamanic training. And if you're interested and want to be part of the shamanic training, this mentorship where I'm teaching others how to become more connected into their energy, it's not too late. You can sign up all the way probably till about 5 p.m. today. The class starts at 7. It's going to meet every Tuesday at 7. And then I'm going to give you things to do, little side journeys and homework essentially to do every week. And then we meet every week, and then we step into the next phase. Every week is a new phase that expands. And then by the end, what that leads into is something that I call a flowering ceremony, where this opens up your energetic flower. Allowing you to be able to take in more information and energy. It's a really, really beautiful course in which I've begun. I'm going to change and it's going to grow. Everyone has been different. So I recommend checking that out if you're interested in learning more about the shamanic path, the path of the shaman, about learning more about energy healing and energy work. This is a perfect place for you to be. Nardu. Good morning, Nardu. The wife and I did the sensory deprivation tank. Had a cold before I went in. Also have been recalling dreams now. Well, I love the sensory deprivation tank. I love the float. Thanks for reminding me. I actually have a couple of them. I need to schedule and get in there. I usually do a solid hour of meditation before I go there. And I even usually sit and I do some prayer work, some energy work in the car before I go in. I really love those things. I really turn that into kind of a sacred space. But recalling dreams, that's good. That means that there's some sort of neural connection that's popped together. And that can only happen really in solitude. And that's why sensory deprivation is really powerful, because the lives we live are generally overwhelmed by our perception of the external world. So taking some time to be in solitude can really be a beautiful reset for the nervous system. So I definitely advise people to try sensory deprivation. It's not really for most people that aren't yet capable of silencing the mind. Because otherwise, when you're in there, most people I know that can't do that just go, oh no, I laid there for a while and just, it seemed like a long time or whatever. They were taken away more by their thoughts than they were about actually being in the moment there. So I think it works a lot better if you already have an awareness of how to meditate, how to be able to kind of allow your attention of your thoughts to subside and all of your attention to come into your being. The inner body awareness that happens inside those tanks is next level. I had a really cool experience on my second or third float ever. When I got in there, I had this awareness. I could feel like an energy tail off of my tailbone. Almost sort of like a sperm cell, and so like a flagella. And while I was in the tank, I could feel my flagella, and I started to make it move. And I was like, how cool, it feels like I have a tail. And I actually bonked the side of the wall. I moved. So your energy in the water can actually move you. So I recommend trying that too, seeing if you can use your own energetic force while you're in there to be able to propel you. And you'll know if it works because you'll clunk on the side of the clamshell in there. Very good. Thank you for sharing that, Nardu. Who else? Anybody have any questions this morning? Questions, comments, concerns? I would love to hear about what's going on in your life, about your spiritual path, your practices. The floor is open. If you have any questions whatsoever, The shaman is the person that you want to come to ask. We're seen as essentially village elders. And another way is one who knows. The shaman, the path of the shaman is to form a relationship through image and similitude with all of the spiritual energies that surround you, which is everything. It really is everything. The teachings that I share and also what's been passed down to me is the understanding that everything is alive. Nothing's more or less alive. Everything's alive. And so knowing that and working with that, you can begin to form very powerful spiritual relationships with absolutely everything around you. Even things that your subconscious mind may think are inanimate or that you've been taught are inanimate, like, like say this pen. Most people wouldn't think of a pen as something that's alive. Well, it is. It's made out of molecules and atoms, just like you are, dancing, moving, alive atoms. And even deeper than that, it's living energy. So you actually have the ability, and I tell people to do this. A lot of people, it's form of meditation to sit with something and feel its life. Now, for Paqos, what we usually do is we use rocks. And this is my primary sacred medicine piece. This is my triangle rock. This is essentially represents the Holy Trinity, mind, body, spirit, or in our tradition is Yankai, Yachai, Munai, the three levels of being, the 3 points of being. And what I'll do often is I'll sit with my stones or a stone or any stone. You can just pick one up outside and then you can sit with it. And what you're doing is you're just feeling its aliveness. You're allowing yourself to connect with it and really understand it and feel it. Stones can hold more information than pretty much anything else on the planet because they're so dense. The molecules, the atoms are packed so densely that it has the capacity to, because that's what those things are. They're little memory cells, can hold lots of memory. So what I typically do is I bring into it, I share with it energy, I share. So I'm calling in, and I may bless my stone. I may ask the higher power, the higher force, may beautiful energy come into my body and pass into this stone. You also can empower stones for others. And, there's a few different ways you can do it. I'm just kind of scratching the surface on how to sit with or empower a stone. But I recommend it. It's really powerful work. And if you don't have a stone, you can grab absolutely anything. I tell people to work with their sacred medicine piece. And people say, what is a sacred medicine piece? And what I'd say is something that fits generally in the palm of your hand. My primary sacred medicine piece is this marble egg. This was handed down to me some years back, maybe 20 years ago, from someone that gave it to me as like good luck. And it's been with me a long time, so it has a lot of significance. I've taken it many places. Ooh, it makes me cold as soon as I pick it up because I'm picking it up, and what it's done, it's opened up my channel. I'm taking in more high frequency energy into my body, and it just kind of turns everything on. I use this a lot in healings with other people and things. I set it up usually on my altar. I use it with something that I call, or was given to me a long time ago. This is a finger rosary is what this is called. My friend's father, who is no longer in his body, used to make these for his church and everything. And this was gifted to me probably 10 years ago. And what I do is I use this as the holder for my egg. How cool. The egg means a lot to me. This symbolizes the energetic bubble in which we live. It's the living energy. It's like a torrid field of life. Very, very powerful tools. You can begin to create relationships with little things like that, little trinkets and pieces, like everything. All of my tools, my bells, I have little bells that I use for calling in spirit. I sit with these often. I'll hold them in my hands and I'll breathe with them. And I just all I'm doing is I'm sitting there and I'm honoring the sacredness of these pieces. Kurt Carrington, good morning. Hey, brother, I was wondering, normally I do 5 rounds of 30 breaths, Wim Hof technique in the afternoon. Can the speed of the inhale, exhale be increased? Are there any benefits from doing it quicker? And would suggest an optimum amount of round breaths? Thanks. Well, there is no optimum. So, the Wim Hof method is generally, It's a marketing tool. Wim Hof didn't really create it. His son did. And so Wim Hof breathing is a form of Tumo. It's more of a circular breathing. And really what that does is that's more for energy, that kind of breathing. That's not going to be good for relaxation so much or anything. It's a great beginner style of breathing. So what I would say is I think we might have talked about in our session, is I would always recommend to cycle your breathing. There's 3 primary types of breathing. And the first is relaxation breathing. And that's usually where I start in my breath, like how we were today, putting my hands on my body, feeling the wave. Long exhales. That's the key, is the extended exhale, belly, chest. Feeling your air, not sitting there counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 30. If you're sitting there counting, it's all mind. You're not going to really get a lot out of it. But if you're a beginner, that's where you want to start, because you're going to need some way to keep your attention into the breathing. But as you progress from there, it's more about feel. I don't breathe in numbers. That's not something I like to do. I like to feel my breath. I start with my relaxed breath. And then usually what I do is then I start to move into a balanced breath. That's more like a Wim Hof style. I'm modulating my nervous system. First, I'm moving into a parasympathetic state, switching into parasympathetic. Then I'm starting to rise a little bit. And that's where I'm going into balanced breathing. So that's like an in, out. And I don't count. I go with feel until I feel really oxygenated. And then what I usually do is then I go with my power breathing. Now this turns everything on. Okay. So I'm modulating. I'm going from a parasympathetic state to a balanced state to a sympathetic state, where I'm actually turning on my nervous system. That's when your breaths are really big inhales and just blowing off, getting rid of the carbon dioxide. Big, strong inhales, short, quick, fast exhales. Then you'll start to feel really tingly. Now I'm all lit up. My energy feels all awake. Then what I do is I may do a hold at the end of that. Big breath. Hold it. I might do some squeezing different parts of my body. There's no rules to breathing. You want to explore it, release. And then I start again with the slow breathing. Then balance. Then power. Deep breath in. Release all the air. Oh. Deep breath in. And release. So what my recommendation is to allow yourself to explore, okay? Because the whole idea is you're learning how to attenuate the nervous system. If you only do one style, one pattern of breathing, you're only training your nervous system in that groove. So my recommendation is to change up your pattern. I like to do it just like that. I'll change up my pattern during my breathing. Sometimes I just go with a medley. I'll start off with a double breath. And move to in and out through the mouth. Do a huge inhale and a long exhale. Huge inhale and a long exhale. Play with your breath. That's what it's about. It's really about learning you. Know thyself. Your breath is such a powerful tool. It can keep you busy for a long time out of your incessant thinking while you're having fun. Because guess what? You can't be focused on your breath and overthink. Now, if you're just sitting there doing your 30 Wim Hof breaths, more than likely that becomes very automatic and your mind runs and it doesn't really take you anywhere. The whole idea is to learn how to get beyond the attention of your thoughts. The thoughts will never stop. They will continue to run all the time. And that's what meditation is. It isn't about, people say silencing the mind. I say that sometimes, but I can't say it's really silencing the mind as much as it's taking my attention away into a different plane of being. But as for your question was like, are the benefits from doing it quicker? I think I've just explained there are different ways you're modulating your nervous system. You can do 30, 40 breaths one way, take a break, do them a different way, so on and so forth. And then as for optimum amount of rounds and breaths, no such thing. Go by feel. Set your intention before you breathe. What do you want to happen? Okay. The breath is a tool. As you're breathing, you're taking in, you're inspiring air, taking in spirit. Breath is more than just air, it's light. How cool is that? Celine Marsh, good morning. Kurt Carrington, thanks, man. You're a fountain of knowledge. A Nike Kuyaki. I would love to take the credit, but I have fantastic spirit guides and a really strong channel that lead this dude named Anthony where he needs to go. Morning, beautiful souls. Good morning, Queenie. Please excuse me. I'm going to announce again. Today is the first day of Shamanic Training Level 1. I run a mentorship where I train people how to begin to connect into their spiritual gifts. Even if they're already connected into their spiritual gifts, you can expand that big time. So that begins today. It's not too late to sign up. Visit my Facebook page or visit Eventbrite, and you can sign up today. You can get on there in the group if you want. And also financial assistance is available for anyone who needs it. I'm more interested in you being in the class and learning what you can than money. Money is important, don't get me wrong, but the development, the spiritual development of others and things like that are really what's more important to me, the service to others. So since I found service to others, my whole life has changed in a beautiful way, in a very, very beautiful way. I have so much to be grateful for every day. It never gets old. The inpouring every day at 93 messages this morning coming in from people all over the world, thanking me for what I do, thanking me for the stuff that I show them and give them and help them along with. And I just love it. I just absolutely love it. I love this life. Jessica Lockhart, good morning. The floor is open for questions. This is Ask the Shaman, so feel free to ask any questions. What was I going to share? There was something I was going to share. Let me see what that was. We talk a lot about a lot of different things here. Let's see here. Meditation. It's a very, very powerful tool. That's something I teach everyone all over the world every day. Hold on a second. I keep hearing the term soul contract. Do they exist? Well, they exist for the people that believe in them, Tom. That's how I would put that. So that's a case-by-case basis. This is not something I personally ascribe to. That makes it sound like you have no choice or something or whatsoever, or like you're under the control of something that you don't have any power over. So I like to steer away from mindsets like that because those kind of mindsets generate generally separation, and separation is an illusion. Okay. Nobody's in control of what's happening in your reality except for you. Now, this doesn't mean you have control over what you're perceiving as outside events. Those things need to happen. What you do have control over is your reaction to everything. Your behavior is a choice. And people argue that these are usually people that don't want to be accountable for their actions. Your behavior is always a choice. People say, well, I reacted in this way. You know, this person stepped on my shoe, so I slapped him. You know, it was a reaction. No, it wasn't like a reflex. It isn't like when the doctor hits you on the joint and your body moves. You chose that. That was a chosen thing. You're always choosing your reactions. If you're pissed off about something, you're choosing that. And if you can't be honest with yourself about that, you're going to suffer, is what's going to happen, because then what happens is you're externalizing your power. So yeah, there's people that say things like that. I call that kind of more new age kinds of ideas. I find deep disempowerment in those things. Whoever wants to use those things can. That's not something I teach or hold on to. You know, there's so many different ways uh, to get to the source. I don't believe that putting yourself in disempowering positions of soul contract do any good for you. But to each his own. I love everybody. I respect everybody's belief system. I wanted to say thank you. Have to run for my mom. See everyone later. Bye, Queenie. Big love to you. Could you give us a rundown of what shadow work is? Yes, absolutely. Let me come back to that, Kurt. Hi, Cassandra. Good morning, sweetheart. I received a free ice pod. Woohoo! And I wanted to double check what temperature is ideal, recommended for cold plunge. Mary sent me a whole bunch of helpful first timer info, but I don't remember what temp, and for 2 minutes, right? Okay, so I'll share with you really quick some of the overviews of what I understand of the science. And what I will say is it's always evolving. So, you know, never put yourself in a space of this is it and this is the concrete kind of evidence. Okay, so I'll just tell you what science is saying today. And what it is 57.7 degrees Fahrenheit or colder. So roughly 58 degrees or colder. I like to go colder. I like to feel my bath somewhere in the low 40s. I've worked it out in my freezer. I've been able to get that down and circulate the water and put salt in it and take it down to below freezing, about 28 degrees. It doesn't need to be that cold. I can't find any science to suggest on the physical side of things that improves your physical responses in the body. I do notice deeper metaphysical connections when it's colder. It's probably because it's more shocking and really puts you in a different state, nervous system state. So I would say that, you know, for metaphysical senses, maybe colder is okay. But the science says 11 minutes a week. So 11 minutes a week. There wouldn't be 11 minutes all at once, 2 to 3 minutes at a time, you know, 4 or 5 times a week, you know, and then that will get you your time, 11 minutes. So 11 minutes a week, 57.7 degrees Fahrenheit or colder is what you're looking for. So, you know, you don't have to go super cold. Your tap water may be close to cold enough right now. Just measure it. If you're below 57, get in there. Do your 2 minutes. I'll say that the warmer the temperature, of course, the easier it is. You know, it takes the heat off you faster when it's colder. I feel like the sweet spot's 42 to 45 degrees for plunging. So I would go somewhere in there. Congratulations on your new ice pod and the next step in your evolution, because I got to tell you, sis, cold exposures are life-changing. Life-changing. That changes your life. If you can get yourself in that cold water 5 days a week, I go every day. I take cold showers every day. I like to get in the cold, though, as well, and cold baths as often as possible. You know, luckily now Mary is working now over at Elemental Cold Plunge. And anybody who's local, I recommend you go check that out, Elemental Cold Plunge. It's Ohio's kind of like first cold plunge studio, maybe. It's really nice. They have some saunas there and stuff and some really, really nice equipment. They have something called Morosco Forge. The Morosco Forge is a high-end kind of ice bath. It's made, it has a wood exterior, stainless steel interior, onboard compressor and chiller unit. Nice equipment. I'd go check that out if I were you. Plus, you get to go see Mary. Who doesn't love Mary? I know I do. Okay. Hold on, Kurt. Kurt, let me come back there real quick. Let me not get too far away. Could you give us a rundown of what shadow work is? Yeah, so shadow work is essentially becoming aware of your behavior. Okay, I couldn't put it in any other simple term. Becoming aware of your behavior. Now, all of us have behaviors that don't really work in our favor. And that's the first step to shadow work, is awareness. You can't go into the shadow unless you're aware of your shadow. Unless you become aware that there's some emotions and things that you haven't processed. And it's, this begins first by inspecting your behavior, understanding why I do what I do. Okay. So there's no like quick rundown for this, and there's no like one size fits all. That's why I work with people. I have to sit with people and really dig into what's going on in their life, their lifestyle, their habits, what's important to them, their values. All those things kind of need to be inspected upon your shadow. But it's allowing yourself to step into the parts of you that have been suppressed, pushed down, and unloved. And all of us have those. You have something you're ashamed of. All of us do. You've done something, said something, been some sort of way at some point in your life that brought shame and guilt into you. That shame and guilt grows and grows in the subconscious mind, and then begins to create self-limiting belief systems. And it's in these self-limiting belief systems in which we suffer. And what I like to point out is, to most people who are in self-limiting beliefs, I'd say, if you couldn't fail, what would you do? Right? If there was no failure, what would you do? And then the second question is, what are you waiting for? So that's the first step. A very powerful tool for beginning to dismantle your shadow is developing a daily practice, starting with your breath, and then going even further, connecting with spirit around you, or even as simple as just practicing gratitude. Those kind of things begin to change your frequency, will shake up some of the pitted and stuck in energy that's in you, and begin to rise. Energy healing is a very beautiful thing. Sitting with a shaman that knows how to manipulate, use energy, help you unfold some of those things. There's a lot to it. There's no, you can't just there'll be people that try to do that. I'll never try to do that. Tell you, hey, there's just this one size fits all thing that helps people begin to rectify their shadow. And really all you're doing is you're taking your energy, the heaviness that lives inside of you, and it's an alchemical process where you're actually transforming your heaviness into love. I hope that hits on some things. Let's see. Nardu. The energy in my right hand seems to naturally rotate counterclockwise, and in my left hand, clockwise. Any reason for that? Yeah. So your left hand is your divine feminine hand, or your receiving hand. So your receiving hand, that's usually going to be drawing energy in. So usually think of in terms of like a screw. A screw goes in, righty tighty, clockwise in, counterclockwise out. Okay. So when you're having, when your hand is vibrating and it's opening in its counterclockwise motion, it's drawing energy in. So you're taking energy in through the left hand, and then it's not abnormal. I feel that too, the corkscrew outward from the right hand. You can actually have fun and play with this. I like to use my breath. I'll open my hands and I'll breathe in through the counterclockwise hand into my heart. Hold it in my heart. I charge it with love or gratitude or whatever beautiful energy I want, and then whoosh, send it out through this hand. And then I imagine it recirculates in the world and the earth, and I bring it back in this hand. Into me, out of me, in, out. Sit there and play with that for a while. The sensation is amazing. You're learning how. It's not that you're actually breathing through your hand, but it's your intention and drawing energy. Air is energy. So as I'm breathing in and using my intention at my hand, it gives me the ability to bring energy in and out. So you can also do this with things. You can empower something, like I was talking about stones before. Say you have a stone that you work with and you think it has lots of beautiful power, and you want to empower that into another stone. What you would do is you'd take that stone in your left hand, you'd make your connection with it, some prayers, take the stone you want to transfer to into the right hand. And then once you're sitting there, you can use your breath or just your intention. You're allowing yourself to be the medium, the interface in between these two stones. Okay. This also, if you were going to do hand healing on someone, my first hand healing started off that way with raising my left hand up, channeling the sun. In our tradition, we call that Inti Taita, Father Sun, calling in the energy of the sun into my hand. I let it come in. I let it charge into my heart. Sometimes the other nawis, the other eyes of my body, wherever it needs to go. There's different ways in which energy healing works, but just a simple way is to channel in the beauty and healing into this hand. Let it pass through your heart and out through this hand. So you'll see me do this often if I'm doing a physical pain healing on someone, or I'm trying to bring healing energy into their body. I'll raise this hand up to the sky, and this hand will go on the person. This hand gets really cold. This hand gets really hot, is usually what you'll notice. Yay! I don't say one has to be aware to have a choice, to avert responsibility for my actions, ever. I say it because it's true. It's my real experience. It's my observed experience of others. And I don't say one has to be aware to have a choice. Well, yeah, well, I kind of get what you're saying. I would have to sit there with you. There's just some breaks in the language that you're using, because everyone's aware all the time. And the first stage of awareness is understanding that you have a choice. So that's really where it begins. Awareness begins quite simply. It's not that it has to develop or it's not there. Everyone has awareness. It just may be clouded by shadow. So the first thing is helping yourself or helping another person understand just what I said. Your behavior is a choice. And if you don't like that and you don't think that's true, then that's the first issue, is you're not taking that awareness. Am I choosing my behavior? See? So then once you become aware of that choice, there's the awareness. Awareness is always the first step to freedom. I'm aware. The next step is taking control of your nervous system and your mind. And there's a few different ways to do that. I prefer to use the breath. The breath is a very powerful tool. Awareness, breath. And then you're reinstalling new words. You're putting in new self-talk instead of the story that you're agreeing to. But I hope that helps, Jill. Thank you. Thank you, Cassandra. Also, what I was taught by a master long ago. Uh-oh. There we go again, Jill. You're trapped in time. I'm stoked and ready. I'm glad you are. uh, Observe yourself. That's exactly what I was saying. That's exactly what one needs to do. This is where meditation comes in, through your self-observation. And a lot of meditation can be, especially if you go into, like I like to call it, blackening, when you go into the dark room and you sit there and you're not doing anything. You're not trying to stop your thoughts. You're not trying to do breath work. You're not trying to do anything. You're just allowing yourself to be an observation of what's happening. Very powerful tool. What are your thoughts or insights on somatic healing to balance cortisol levels? I've been feeling a pull to it for many reasons, but curious if you have recommendations. Well, I love it. It's most of what my practice is somatic forms of healing. So yeah, because your issues are stored in your tissues. Or another way to look at it is your nervous system holds a lot of information. So somatic healing is simple as tapping, somatic movement, qigong, dancing, breath work, especially when you're using your intention to move energy, is deeply somatic. Maybe hands down, for me and my understanding, the most powerful form of somatic healing, because you're moving the fluids of the body. Somatic is all about moving energy in the body, releasing tension from the inner body and the cellular structures. This is separate from the thinking and mind. So that needs to be taken care of, because if the mind isn't taken care of, you just build right back up. Whatever you somatically release will build up. The cool part is when you release somatically, you release some of that energy. This allows the consciousness to be able to take in new frequencies, potentially new thoughts. So yeah, no, somatic healing is great. It should be used in conjunction. It shouldn't just be, there's a lot of people that think like, oh, I practice somatic healing and that's all there is. No. Or I do EFT or EMDR, all these other words, NLP, that have been put out into the world. These are all shamanic practices, ancient forms of human technology that have simply been, cut down and rebranded. Often they're not quite as effective as actually using it in a full shamanic practice. But it's not that you balance cortisol levels either. It's that you reduce the level of cortisol in the body. And the only way that happens is learning how to control yourself into your parasympathetic nervous system, being able to, and this takes lots of practice, of being able to slow your breathing down. I can shift it in like one breath. That takes lots of practice. You're shifting yourself out of the fight or flight mode into the rest, digest, feed, and breed mode. That there is how you control your cortisol. Much of the human existence is automatic, and that's why we do this, work, play. Well, that depends on your level of consciousness. So the automatic is happening in the subconscious that is unbridled. So when you reach a level of consciousness and you become deeply aware of it, what happens is that automatic thing kind of falls away, and then you become deeply aware of everything that's happening and you're doing. And then you can live a very sacred form of life, which is something I like to do and like to teach others, is to find the beauty instead of walking through life in this automatic robotic pattern. That's why I tell everybody, do something new every day. Don't walk home. Don't drive home the same way. Create new neural patterns. Brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand. Stand on one foot. Shake your leg around. Those are things that take you out of the matrix. The matrix is the pattern. That automatic existence is the matrix. And that is somewhere that I don't want to be too much. Does it happen? Yes, because I'm part of the collective consciousness. I'm only as developed and awake as the most asleep person. Okay, no one's above nor below, but we have a choice, and that's our free will to where we place our attention, because wherever your attention goes, your energy flows. Again, the awareness is always there. Okay, I'm not sure where you're going there. I'll work with you on that, though. Kurt Carrington, inbox me with your left hand palm for your act. Nope, we're not doing that here, Medium Lynn. I'm sorry about that. That's not what's going to happen. Issues in your tissues. Yeah, that's true. So that's how one way to put it is you store issues in your tissues. And what that means is you have 30 trillion little memory banks in your body that we observe as cells. But I go a lot deeper than that, because before there's any cells or any atoms, it's energy, it's frequency and vibration. So I like to teach from that deeper core of things, the deeper core. At the deeper core, that translates into change into the physical state. Oh, there's time again. I'm not going in time with you, Jill. Sorry. Thank you, soul, very much. My pleasure. That's what I'm saying, but not everybody is deeply aware. So sometimes you're telling people things they can't get right now. What you don't understand, Jill, is that I'm not communicating just from the voice. That's your interpretation or your limitation of interpretation. When I'm saying things, my level of teaching is far beyond language. It's frequency and vibration. I'm sending vibration. Even right now, I'm communicating to your soul. The resistance is coming through some form of, there's a resistance that's happening. Where is that resistance happening? You're trying to tell me about what I do. It doesn't have anything to do with me. Do you see? It has to do with you. These are your interpretations, your limitations. I'm not part of your limitations. Okay? So you got to really pay attention here. Pay attention to what's going on here. No. See, again, that's your interpretation. That's your interpretation. I don't have to agree with anyone or anything. Maybe you're not agreeing with you. Do you think you can look at this, keep this within you, because you're externalizing? I'm not going to do that. I don't want to. It's quite fun, though, to be alive, I was going to talk a few minutes about meditation practice. Okay. So meditation practice is super powerful and something I recommend every day. If you're not meditating, if you don't got 10 minutes to meditate every day, make an hour. That's what I would say, because your self-care is of the utmost importance. And what I would tell you is The deepest form of self-care is being able to sit calmly and still with yourself. Okay. But there's other forms of meditation. One of my favorite, and I'd say most powerful forms of meditation is breath control or breath awareness, having the awareness of your breath. And this doesn't mean you have to do extravagant forms of breathing like I was talking about before. It can be very shallow, soft breathing. You don't have to be too big or too crazy with it. Healing your breath. Concentrating on the natural rhythm and sensation of your breathing, because breathing has a sensation. You can't see air per se. Some of us can. Most of us cannot. It's an invisible to us form of energy, but it's your life force. This is your life force energy. This is where that beautiful prana, that beautiful life force energy, baby, that's where it comes from. Your breath. That's where it comes from, to inspire, to take in spirit, right? And you're taking some time and you're really just allowing yourself to feel your breath. From there, I usually branch off into other forms of meditation. One of my favorites is something called loving kindness, or metta. And this is how you cultivate feelings of love and kindness towards yourself and others. There's a few different ways to do this. Most of the time, it just comes through affirmation. I am eternal loving awareness. May the love of the world shine through me and into you, right? Like, you can have these different ways that you're using it, but your whole idea is to cultivate loving kindness. I am loving kindness. May I walk the earth today in loving kindness. And you repeat these things. It's kind of like a mantra. And then another favorite of mine that I share with others is body scan. You can do your body scan, paying attention to each part of your body, noticing the sensations without judgment. So you're sitting there, you can open up your hands, open up your body. And then this is something that is something that I like to teach. And someone who's brought this really big into the forefront is Dr. Joe Dispenza. Dr. Joe likes to take you in meditations. I don't know if anyone's ever experienced a Dr. Joe meditation. They're fantastic. Some of them are really hard for me to follow because he uses this weird kind of spacey voice where he's like, can you sense your ears and space? And it kind of just makes me laugh. It breaks my concentration. I think it's probably designed that way, to see if I can stay on track, which I can. But it's mostly being aware, that body scanning, bringing your attention into parts of your body. Like, can you feel your hands? Close your eyes. Just feel your hands. Feel your hands and your fingers. You don't need to see them or touch them. They're there because you can feel them. And then you can do some like feel your eyebrows and your forehead. Can you feel your eyebrows and your forehead? You're not looking at them or touching them. They're there. Spend some time there, breathe. And then sometimes I'll start to breathe into these places. I'll bring my attention into my ears or just my left ear, and I'll breathe into my left ear. Picturing the air, the energy into my left ear. This is also how you can use your breath for healing, bringing energy into parts of your body that need healing. Try it out. It's amazing how powerful and how great it works. Mindfulness, being fully present and aware of your surroundings and inner experiences. So that's where you're just sitting and you're just in a space of observation. I move into a space of observation. Now, this takes a lot of practice because most of the time the mind is running. As you're sitting there and you become aware, and it's kind of, you slip off into like a trance because you're just feeling, you're just aware. Thoughts will start to infiltrate. They may take away your attention. That's when I bring my awareness back to my breath. Feeling my breath, scan my body back to just becoming aware. So it's like a stage. And what happens for most people is they get frustrated because their mind keeps running them away. And then that's okay. If you get frustrated, just try to relax and come back. Every time you come back, every time you can steer yourself back into this present moment, into the awareness of this present moment, that's a win, a big win. A big one I love to use I usually in my sessions. So if anybody who's worked with me in like public sessions or even private sessions, I kind of use all of these elements of mind, of being. The next one of my favorites is visualization, or I call it using your disciplined imagination or your mind's eye, allowing yourself to create, picturing a peaceful place or scenario in great detail to evoke calmness. I'm usually brought to a beach. That's one of my favorite things. But sometimes it's a mountain, sometimes it's a stream, sometimes it's a cloud, wherever it feels good to you. And what I do is I say, don't try to overthink it. Just allow yourself, say to yourself, taking a breath, I'm going to take myself to the most relaxing, safe place I can imagine. And then I don't try to think about it. I kind of just let it come to me, whatever shows up for you. I've had people report different things of feeling like they're inside of their mother's womb. I feel enclosed and warm. There's no rules. The idea is for you to explore what feels good to you. What feels good to you. Now, you can take visualization a step deeper. This kind of leans more into manifestation, visualizing an outcome, okay? But not being attached to it. That's the trick. With manifestation, visualizing outcomes, but not being attached to how it gets there, or if it doesn't actually happen the way you're visualizing it, because the visualization is creating a frequency of potential to come to you. And then we kind of talked about this a little bit. Mantra repetition, repeating a word or phrase to focus the mind and deepen the meditation. I am who I am, and that is enough. One of my favorites. I am who I am, and that is enough. I am who I am, and that is enough. And then you can install this is the self-talk I was talking about. Your awareness of what's going on, anywhere that you're suffering, then bringing your attention to your breath, and then installing new self-talk. And that can be a mantra. I am love. I am light. I am enough. That's a big one for most people, reminding yourself that you're enough. And I like to go even deeper. I am creation itself. I am a living miracle. Remind yourself, because you are. You're a living miracle, regardless of what your subconscious mind says, regardless of how people in your reality may treat you or whatever happens in your reality. You are a living miracle, living, breathing, talking, thinking, feeling, experiencing, observing miracle. You're amazing. You're amazing is what you are. You're amazing. Look in the mirror. Look, you're alive. Wow. That's just so cool. Chakra meditations. Okay. So focusing on the body's energy centers to balance and harmonize the body. I love doing chakra meditations. I am a Paqo, and as a nature mystic of the Peruvian trade, we focus on these energy centers in our bodies called Nawi. And the Nawi are energetic eyes. So I do use my chakra system, but I'm more connected into the Nawi system. And this is something I teach in my shamanic mentorship, is how to connect to your Nawi, connect to the living energy, the corresponding energies that come to them. And then it's kind of up to you to practice with them from there. But those meditations, focusing in your energy centers, like one of my favorites is heart-centered, because this is the primary place that most of us are cut off from, and a great place to start. The other centers are fantastic, but I go secondarily to them after the heart. So I like to picture my heart as this beautiful center of light, and I usually connect it to the sun, my golden center, and I open that up. And I'm calling to me all of the energy that's available to me and in my body. And I spend time there in my heart. And usually with that, I think about the things I love, the people I love. I think about being and embodying love. What is love? It's not something you can put into words. It's a frequency of consciousness. And I invite that frequency of consciousness in and let it expand in a beautiful way. Walking meditation. Now, this is a good one. I do this in the forest. I also call this nature bathing or forest bathing. Okay. Walking slowly and deliberately, fully aware of each step and breath. What I like to do is I like to get into the woods. I might walk for a few minutes to get in some really strong exercise. maybe longer. And then I'll spend some time in my walking meditation where I've just become fully immersed by the energy around me. I'm not naming anything like, oh, there's a tree, there's a flower, there's a shrub. I'm not naming anything. I'm feeling everything. That's the key, is turning on your feel to everything, not judging it. The mind's always judging, reducing things into some sort of understanding. Let go of all understanding and allow yourself just to be in the soup. It's like a nature soup. My favorite way is to be in the nature soup. It's the best. Gratitude, huge one for me. Love that. That's how I start my day every day. I started this morning. My alarm didn't go off. Mary actually woke me before she was leaving for her work this morning. And she actually has 6 something. And she told me. And then the first thing I do is I look at the time. Then I start to go into my breath. Usually I use my alarm. So my alarm goes off. I hit the snooze. The first thing I do is I go into my breath. I lay back down. Sometimes I might fall back asleep. It's rare that I do because I'm focused in my breath. I'm feeling my breath. Then I begin to focus on gratitude. Now, so I've been practicing gratitude so long and so much that I can just turn it on. I can just turn on the frequency inside of me. Now, it didn't start that way. It starts off is you think about the things you're most grateful for, whatever that is. And you can simplify. You can be grateful. I woke up this morning. I'm alive and I have a purpose, Find the gratitude. Find the things you're grateful for in that moment. And then what you're doing is then you're bringing in, that's the thoughts. The thoughts are the images. You're bringing that in, and then you're taking that energy up here from the head, and then you let it take the elevator down to your heart, down into your heart and belly. And then you're experiencing or embodying gratitude. This is how you actually experience gratitude. Otherwise, it's just all thoughts. Thoughts are cool. Okay. They can inform your perception, inform your feeling. Use your thoughts of gratitude, bring them in. I'm grateful for my daughter and my dog and my cat and all my plants in my home. And, you can just go wild with a whole bunch of things, but then bringing that into you. And what is gratitude? Oh, I feel it in my body. And so that's the key, is you're training yourself to be able to, I don't need to picture or imagine anymore. I just say, I'm ready to feel gratitude. And it just turns on and it starts to vibrate and radiate. And then I practice a little while embodying it into my body. And then I'm breathing and then I'm radiating it, filling up the room with gratitude, filling it all up around me. And that in itself is a very amazing feeling, because then what that does is that creates a vibration in the space around you, and it begins to share itself with you. Now you're in flow, or in our tradition, we call this Aini, divine reciprocity, which is always there, but you can definitely enhance its frequency, expand it to where it's more noticeable and aware, just like that. Then usually that's when my alarm ends and I get up. But I start my day every day with that particular practice. I've been doing that for a while now, and I have to say it's been exponentially beautiful and helping me navigate my life in a more beautiful way. Because when you start with that mindset of gratitude, that pours over into the rest of your day. And the more you practice it, the easier you can access that. So especially in the times where it's normal for us to forget. It's normal for us to forget that we're creation itself, and there's really nothing to worry about or to be afraid of, so that brings in fear. The antidote for fear, and the antidote for lack, and the antidote for depression, the antidote for anxiety is gratitude. Because if you can bring yourself into gratitude, and the more skillful you become at that, the easier it is for you to let go of the story. Because if you're suffering in some way in your life, it's because there's a story attached. That's always what it is. That's how emotions work. Feelings come and go. Feelings are normal. It's okay to feel pissed or sad or upset. It's okay. But you're meant to feel it, process it, let it go. It's when we hold on to it that generates emotion. Emotions are connected to stories. I call emotions stories, energy and motion. It's a story. And even good emotions can actually be toxic for you because you're recycling thought patterns, which can lead into other forms of thought pattern recycling. So it's watching these things. It's really paying attention. And then here's another one I love. I was talking about this earlier, observing your thoughts. Just sitting still, allowing yourself to become aware of how I'm thinking. What am I thinking about? Not judging it now. That's the hard part, is becoming aware of your thoughts without judging them. You arise, you're not engaging them. I'm not following them and becoming them. I'm just watching what Anthony's thinking. Maybe he's judging something or someone. And I can become aware of his thinking. I can become aware. This also helps you. You can observe the thoughts of others. You can actually connect into the field of energy of others and observe their thoughts. This is what they call psychism or psychics. Nothing's actually hidden in the field because thoughts are energy forms. And we can pick up on those. Practicing awareness has brought me to a place where a lot of the time I can actually spot my ego trying to show off or act cocky, etc. So often I don't buy into it or act on it, but I don't always spot it in time. That's your opinion. Okay. So watch that. I also think being honest with myself about the way I behave is important. I expect to grow in awareness. Good. I release expectations. Don't expect how you're supposed to grow in awareness. So you're doing great, Kurt. There's just 2 little tweaks that you'd make there. So your language shows some things about you is what's happening. But I don't always spot it in time. Okay. Who says what time? That's your opinion. Do you see your opinion of what time it should be? Time is illusory. There's only now. And what you do is you respond in that now. Because if you're saying it's not in time, that's saying I'm not good enough because I can't do it in time. You have to become aware of what you're saying to the subconscious mind. Lots of people struggle with these ideas of time in the subconscious mind. I sometimes have to speak of time for ease of communication, but I don't actually perceive it that way any longer. So you can help yourself right there by just being acceptant. It's not that I didn't find out in time. I found out just in time. Do you see? I found out right when I was supposed to, and that's okay, right? That's putting you in acceptance of what's going on. And then also, you're right, being honest with yourself. Being honest with yourself, that's the most important key to healing, is being honest with yourself about the role you play in your own suffering, which is all of it. Okay. Any emotional suffering that's happening in your being has directly to do with your choice, your choosing. And whenever you're not changing, you're choosing. So, and then I would just say, if I expect to grow in awareness, don't expect. You are awareness. It's not that it has to grow. You have to let go of the idea that it's not already there. Mhm. Good job, Kurt. Hi, Jessica. Good morning, sister. I'm dealing with some life stuff and I'm feeling separate, unattached, and unhappy. I know things can and will change, and I'm responsible to make such changes in order to raise my vibration. But I would love some guidance. Comforting words of wisdom? Sure. So life is going to throw things at you for you to deal with, okay? And so the first step I would say is to see if you can move into acceptance. What if it's okay? What if, however you feel right now, because that's the first thing, is you're saying, I feel separate, unattached, and unhappy. Okay, well, what if you could just say that's okay? And, and you eliminate your judgments of these things. That would be the first place I go. Sometimes that's how it has to be. It's not that feeling separate, unattached, or unhappy is bad or wrong. This may not be the desirable position for you to be in, but these feelings have arisen because they're trying to teach you something about yourself. You're trying to find out, why am I choosing separation? Why am I choosing unattachment? Why am I choosing unhappy? And then you can have introspect. And it's being really gentle with yourself, not questioning yourself. You're not interrogating yourself. Why? You're saying in a calm kind of way, okay, I would like to understand more about why am I choosing these thoughts? Why am I choosing? Because these are thoughts. This is a story you're agreeing to. You want to become aware. Why do I choose to connect with this story, right? Because life stuff's going to happen. That's a very broad kind of topic. A lot of it may have to do with what kind of life stuff has shown up. And, these life things, these trials show up for you to learn, Okay. And you're right. They can and will change. And I am responsible to make such changes in order to raise my vibration. The important part is you will not change until you're ready to. And no one can make you that. Okay. No one can make you that. You can't force you into being ready to change. It's a choice. Never going to push it there. So, be really gentle with yourself about those things. Yes, of course, we're responsible to make changes and everything, but you're only going to make them when you're ready and not 1 second sooner. And that's going to happen when it's meant to happen. And that's only going to happen when you allow it to, when you're open and allow it to happen. My guidance to you would be to what I was saying before, practice gratitude, because when you're in a state of gratitude, it's impossible to feel separate, unattached, or unhappy. Those three stories, those three ideas or modes disappear when you're in deep gratitude. Find the beauty. Now, what you may encounter as you're stepping into, as you're taking yourself from that heavy energy into gratitude, the ego may begin to try to judge you. How bad of me to not be able to be grateful for what's in front of me, right? All of our minds do that. My mind tries to do that. It tries to make me feel guilty for feeling bad, for doing what I do in that time to survive. That's never going to help you. Love and forgiveness is what's going to help you. So loving forgiveness to yourself. It's okay. I forgive me. And as long as I can forgive me, I forgive everything and everyone else. And I'm in full acceptance. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this day, for this beautiful moment, for my breath. Gratitude. Gratitude is the key. Gratitude is directly related to the frequency of love. You can't really describe love in a word. It's a frequency of consciousness, a way of being, and it's directly related to high frequency levels of gratitude. And then you can tune that too. We call it Munai in our tradition. That's love and will combined. You can bring Munai and bring it into you, and you can kind of turn up the volume. And this is higher Munai, or Hampai Munai is what we call it in our tradition. So I hope that worked out for you, Jessica. Jordan, good morning. It's great to practice just sitting with your thoughts and being aware of them without doing anything. Love it. It is, because you know what happens? You learn a lot about yourself. Because how often does one sit there and just monitor their own behavior, their own thinking patterns, their own thoughts? And it's so insightful, because most people don't want to monitor those thoughts, because the thoughts come up, they reflect back to them their own self-limiting belief system. And what that does is that scares the ego. It sees itself, and then the ego likes to externalize. Well, but it's because of this and because of that and this and that. It tries to externalize itself and blame everything externally for the way it thinks. I think this way because she said that, and my mom did this, and this happened to me, and this is my story, and this is who I am. It's all parts of the identity, the illusory identity of the being. But we can begin to access into those things and really understand ourselves. And this is where the awareness grows. The awareness, how am I thinking? Why am I choosing? What's the story I'm saying to myself, and what limitations am I agreeing to? Beautiful ways to begin to be able to open oneself up. I love it. All right, everybody. It's been a great morning. Thank you so much for showing up here this morning. We do have some events coming up. Anybody that's in town, visit us at Sacred Waters tomorrow night, Sacred Waters, North Olmsted. That's a Kava Bar at 30111 Lorraine Road, North Olmsted, Ohio. Cool place. Come check it out. If you never tried Kava or Kratom, they're beautiful. They have other things as well. Blue Lotus, different forms of teas, and sodas, and all kinds of cool things to check out there. It's a really nice place. I recommend come check that out with us. We'll be doing a breath work, sound bath kind of group tomorrow. Those are really fun, really beautiful. Come on up there and check those out. Also, again, today begins the first day of shamanic mentorship and training that I'm offering. This is the third class in which I've taught the first level. It's still open and you can enter it. all the way up till about 5 p.m. today. So it's not too late. Get yourself in there. If you want to learn more about shamanism, energy medicine, yourself, that's what this is all about. It's all about expanding into your greatest potential and possibility. Feel that breath. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take a moment and I'm going to give some thanks and gratitude to the higher energies and powers. And I'm going to bring out my Misha, my medicine bundle. Nike Kuyaiki. Thank you. I love you. Urpichai Sonkola. From my heart. I am so grateful to all the beings of light and energies and frequencies and all the spirits that come into this space to commune and be with us when we ask. We are so grateful. Thank you for your divine teaching, guidance, and wisdom. Thank you for your perfect medicine, your companionship. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are so grateful. Thank you to the Most High, the Most Mighty. Thank you to Kantiki Wirkocha, Anaiki Kuyaiki, Arpichai Sonkolai, Arpichai. And to my soul family, Saiwak, Apun Kunamanta Samanchaiki, empowerment from my Apus, and blessings of luck. I hope that you all have a beautiful day. I'll be back on Thursday. I'll be back on Thursday for another episode of Ask the Shaman. So get your questions ready. We had some beautiful questions today. I want to thank everybody that's come on and brought in your questions. Great questions today. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love to open up and share that wisdom. And share the breath. It's been a beautiful day. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to close up my energy field by opening up my arms. I'm going to gather up all the energy of the space around me as I take in a deep breath, bringing that energy over my head and condensing it into a ball and bringing it down into my body. I do this 3 times. I gather it up. Down into the body. And I gather it up. And down into the body. Woo. Tingles. Tingles all over. Woo. Feels so good. I send you all love, and light, and beauty, and strength, and courage, and abundance, and health, and wisdom. I give you all the best. I love you all so much. I hope you have a beautiful day. And I'll be back in 2. Love, peace, and chicken grease.